Mariam likes to call them red flags, green flags, right? Internet red flags, and maybe we can start there. What are some of them? I think some of these words sound so big till it happens to you. Then you're told, oh, what happened to you is doxing. And you're like, look, I'm still just traumatizing and trying to find myself. What is this doxing thing? Yeah. But straight up, what are some of the 1, 2, 3 things that people need to be aware of when they're interacting with the internet?
I like the way you asked that question about like what are the red flags on the internet. I'm like, how much time do you have?
How many hours? And balance it with green flags. Oh, although you have spoken to that, the magnifying, the amplification.
So let me. I think a better way to go about it is these are the things you can say, and then everything else falls off, right?
Okay. That's good.
I like that.
Yeah. So I'm a huge campaigner and advocate for Article 33 of our Constitution because I think that is where it starts and falls. Even a lot of conversations on social media are either, political or emotional conversations, but then when you really cut deep to, but what really is the rule, it comes down to Article 33 of the Constitution. And basically what it says is you have the freedom to express yourself across any media, say anything that you want, including creativity and creatively expressing yourself. Just do anything you want, except you cannot do these things. And then the beauty of our Constitution, unlike many constitutions other places in the world, is that it actually took the time to explain the excluded categories of speech. So for example, it's hate speech. And hate speech in the way it's defined in the law, not hating on somebody, because I know that's what people use a lot of.
I've got haters.
Yes.
Take you to court. I've got
you're trolled a lot on social media, and unfortunately, as sad as it is, especially I know that female journalists have gone through a lot of abuse online. Yeah. Unfortunately, a very small category of that abuse rises to the level of hate speech. All of it is just trolling and not liking people's weaves and things like that. So there's hate speech, there's propaganda for war, there's incitement to violence based on discrimination. So it's targeting a specific category of people and inciting violence against them. So those are the very restricted categories where, you cannot be allowed to say these things. That is when the courts would step in. And then there's another provision in Article 33 that says, as you exercise your right to freedom of expression, you should respect other people's rights. So then that gives you a guide. It's like a cheat code. What I'm doing, my expressing, right? I am free to express anything in whatever forum. It can be satire, it can be whatever form of art. But the moment I step on somebody else's rights, then that is the line I've crossed. So then, for example, doxing, right? I'm free to share anything that I want, but the moment I share your private number, then I've affected your right to privacy. So then that becomes, I expressed my right will be upheld up to and until the point where I broke her privacy, then she has a claim against me and the courts can step in. Think about incitement to violence, right? You can say anything, you can say how unhappy you are about a situation, about a person, and then when you cross the line and you call for someone to be harmed, then you've crossed the line. So that's how it's an objective way of thinking about communication without coming up with a to-do list, because a lot of the conversations we get gaslit about, this is illegal and this is wrong, is actually legitimate speech. People expressing what they're unhappy about, people putting it even into art, whether the art comes in the form of actual drawings or deep fakes, that is art, right? And then the question becomes, how did I cross the line if I didn't touch on your rights? So for me, that is a more objective way to look about it. Yeah,
I like it. Every time we talk to someone, especially people who are lawyers, we were asking what's a constitutional lawyer. But yes, the law is always clear. Or even in places where we've been open to interpretation, those are very few and far in between. But it seems that the selectiveness of when it's applied is what's the problem.
Exactly.
So, for example, it seems that, whether it's a Cyber Crimes Act or if it's people being accused of defamation, that always seems to be coming from people who are more powerful, and then on the other end it's like, you are what? You were doxed? Oops, someone leaked your phone number? Our bad. That selective application is now the problem. Is there a consistent issue with that, with applying the law equally, and then how do we reverse it?
Let's let's start with the Cybercrime Act piece, the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act piece.
Yes.
I challenged that law in court, and I had the privilege of looking at the Hansard of Parliament before they passed that law. And it was at the cusp of countries coming up with cybercrime legislation, because there are these offenses that are not provided in traditional penal codes. For example, like when you break into someone's computer, I mean, that's a legitimate offense, it should be legislated upon. But what had happened at that time, it was just around the previous elections, is a lot of members of parliament who were vying for the next house had been exposed, right? Whether it's corruption scandals, whether it's this. So then the discussion on the Hansard shows that the cybercrime discussion that had come in as a good draft to regulate crime online took a tangent where it turned to MPs saying, oh, they said I slept with somebody else's wife. Oh, they said that I did this, and that was fake news. So then now it became a legislation about gagging people and stopping legitimate conversations. Think about the NYS saga. When the blogger came in and said, okay, this has happened, they were arrested. And it was like, no, this is fake news, this is fake news. 3 months later, the government, we lost so much money through NYS. That is exactly what the goal of that law was. So two problems that we have with the cybercrime laws and the defamation laws. So we do have a very old defamation act that has not been revised over the years, and it's still what we use together with what we call common law rules, just rules developed by judges. Now we see people, journalists, bloggers, and just users on social media facing an increase in what we call SLAPP suits, which is strategic litigation against public participation. You will find a journalist who's...
Just rewind, select so we get it.
Okay.
Strategic litigation against
public participation. But it's just a SLAPP suit. Like you speak, you're slapped. Think about it that
litigation.
Way. Yeah, so it's strategic litigation against public participation, and the biggest users of this tool are politicians and businesses. So it's a way, like as a journalist, you know how hard it is to get something published. Like your editor has to approve it, your lawyer has to approve it, it has to go through pre-publication review, right?
And even then.
So there are these lawsuits where the moment you say something, someone rushes to court to get a gag order and to get it taken down, and then ties you in litigation, and litigation in this country does take quite a bit of time. So the public has been gagged because that is a strategic litigation meant to stop public participation on an issue. So we are seeing abuse of the defamation laws to curtail legitimate conversations, because these conversations on governance, on corruption, on human rights, or even abuses by companies, that is legitimate conversation. So when you curtail that, you've really taken people's freedom of speech away. And then we see again, from the time that the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act was passed, how many bloggers do you know that have been arrested for the offense of fake news? Right? And I always ask this, okay, fine, if you're saying that there should be, an offense for fake news, who's the arbiter of truth? Who's telling us what the truth is? So like between the two of you, who is in the middle saying this is the truth? Is it the judge? Is the judge going to do a fact finding and find that? And it's good that the Bloggers Association of Kenya actually took that law to court earlier on, and I represent them in that case. And one of the things I remember they asked me is, how many people are actually going to get jailed for this? Not arrested. Actually go through the process and get jailed. This is the drama that is now happening in courts. The prosecutor keeps asking for adjournments because he doesn't even know
how to prosecute.
He's not equipped.
Exactly. He's not the arbiter of truth. So if you accuse me of fake news, that means there was a real news somewhere. So who's the person who's coming to say the real news?
This is the truth. This is what's
exactly.